We are over halfway through the inaugural Unrivaled season, and there is so much going on, so you guys, we've got to talk about this. What's up, you guys? I'm DeMita, and welcome to the Courtside Club. Today is a little update video on Unrivaled. I have been going back and forth for the last week or so if I wanted to make another video about Unrivaled, because I do have quite a bit of criticisms on the league, but I don't want to come on here and just hate on something. I'm a fan of Breanna Stewart. I'm a fan of Napheesa Collier. I think the idea for this league and them, thinking forward and trying to create something to help their fellow players, to do something where they didn't have to go overseas, all of that is so great. So I don't want to be that person who is just dunking on somebody who is trying to start up a new business and do something great for their fellow colleagues. And so I commend them for that. Before we jump into that, however, I did want to give you some breaking news of the week as we are heading into All-Star weekend. I'm actually headed to All-Star and I will be there throughout the weekend. I have yet to decide if I'm going to vlog or if I'm going to shoot any content there aside from just like social media things for my personal page. If you guys aren't following me there, it's at DeMita if you want to see like photos and videos of things from All-Star. But in the spirit of All-Star, it was just announced that the NBA WNBA shootout with Steph Curry and Sabrina Ionescu is off. NBA's Mike Bass said, "We weren't able to land on a plan we thought would raise the bar off of last season's special moment. We all agreed not to proceed, and we will keep the focus on All-Star Sunday's new format." When I first saw this, and this kind of plays into Unrivaled as well, if you guys remember when Sabrina Ionescu signed up for Unrivaled, she said that one of the biggest things and the qualities about Unrivaled that she really valued was the fact that they were going to work within her schedule. And I also noticed for Unrivaled, they scheduled the one-on-one tournament to land around NBA All-Star weekend, and Sabrina was not in that competition. So I had always thought, whether Caitlin Clark was in the NBA three-point contest or not, that Sabrina would be there, that they would run back the Steph Curry versus Sabrina. They have the belt already made. I thought for sure it was a hit last year. That was the best part of All-Star Saturday night. The dunk contest didn't live up to it. The three-point contest was cool. If you like shooting, it's always going to be fun. But that was the thing of the weekend. So I thought for sure that they would run that back. The other thing that was also super surprising to me about this was the fact that Steph Curry is also not doing just the regular three-point shootout. All-Star is in San Francisco this weekend. You guys, that is where Steph Curry has spent his entire career. It's mind-blowing to me that he's not even doing the three-point contest when it's essentially in front of his home crowd. For Steph and for the NBA in particular, this is just such a missed opportunity. Like, I think it's actually crazy. That's all I have to say about that. We can now jump into Unrivaled. So the reason I was kind of going back and forth on if I wanted to make a video about this is because I haven't been as tapped into Unrivaled as I would want to be. It didn't catch my attention in the way that I was hoping it would. I did watch all of the games during that opening weekend, except the ones that were during the national championship game. But other than that, I've kind of turned it on here and there. That's unfortunate that it hasn't caught my attention because I am a fan of women's basketball. I'm a fan of a lot of the girls that are in this league. And so I want to talk about the ratings a little bit. We did talk about this in my last video about Unrivaled. So opening weekend, the numbers were pretty strong. There were 313,000 average viewers for the first game, which was the Lunar Owls versus the Mist. And there was 311,000 average viewers for the Vinyl versus the Rose. Now, the viewership dipped significantly the next Saturday, and then on Monday it also dipped. But as the weeks continued to go on, ratings have gone down pretty significantly. As the weeks go by, all of the viewership now has been in the 100Ks. Another thing that stood out to me about the numbers is that it didn't seem like any one team is carrying the viewership of Unrivaled. It's not like everybody is tuning in to one team that they want to see play. It kind of seems like the first game of the day always gets the most viewership, and then the second game dips off a little bit. But something that I do want to point out is even though the viewership on television isn't great, I think that we can just be honest there and say those are not great numbers for a brand new league, and something will have to change. They'll have to figure out how to get more viewers to be tuning in. Their social numbers are still doing really well, and especially with this 1v1 tournament. So they started this mid-season 1v1 1v1 tournament. That is something that they were also promoting before the season even started. One clip has gone very viral, and that is this clip of Aaliyah Edwards playing one-on-one against Breanna Stewart. Now in this game, Aaliyah Edwards shuts out Stewie 12-0, and if you look at this post by Bleacher Report, at this current time has 13.8 million views, and there's a lot of comments here, a lot of retweets, a lot of people talking about this is what the NBA should be doing. People have been screaming at the top of their lungs for the NBA to hold a 1v1 tournament at NBA All-Star, but this is something that is promising for Unrivaled and something that I have been hyping them up about through the entirety of all of this. One thing that they got right is the social media aspect of all of it, and so it is nice to see that some of their social numbers are still doing well, because the numbers on television just aren't necessarily living up to what a lot of people have hoped for. But with that, however, you guys, the one-on-one tournament actually was supposed to be much bigger than it was. There were supposed to be more players competing in it, and I saw this tweet from Unrivaled about a week ago, and they said, due to lingering injuries and to prioritize player well-being for the regular season, Unrivaled will be combining the 2 first-round sessions for the 1v1 tournament presented by Sprite into one session. And they also said fans who purchase tickets to the first session will be fully refunded. Essentially, there are so many players that are either sick or injured, I'm going to get into that next, that they had to trim down the amount of players that were in the 1v1 tournament. And I don't know if some of them also just might have... Sorry, I don't know where I was at, but essentially they trimmed down the 1v1 tournament because of injuries. And as you can see from the bracket here, like there are so many who were taken out, they combined everything. And that is just something for a first year league. Injuries, I never wanted to bring it up when I was first talking about Unrivaled, but that is something that will kill a league so fast. It will kill a league so fast because these players are WNBA players first. Without playing in the WNBA, even if their salaries aren't great right now, even if they're making more in Unrivaled, they would not have Unrivaled if they did not have the WNBA. The WNBA is not going to let their players risk getting injured in other leagues, especially in a 3v3 style league like this one, where there is unfortunately, more room for injury. The WNBA is not going to allow that, and these women do have to take care of their bodies. In the end, the goal of this league was to give women a place to play in the offseason so they didn't have to go overseas and they could make good money. The injury element is a very scary place to be. Now, unfortunately, this is not the first time that injuries have plagued Unrivaled. Just a couple days before that, Unrivaled posted the update for the games that were on February 8th. They said, to prioritize player health and safety, Unrivaled will be canceling tonight's matchup between the Laces BC and Vinyl BC. That was something, again, they had to cancel this match because the Laces did not have enough players. Now, there are prominent players on the Laces, including Jackie Young and including Alyssa Thomas. Both of them have been out with knee injuries, and Alyssa Thomas was one who just sustained the knee injury a couple weeks ago, and it happened during Unrivaled. To have it go from being only originally going to be 30 players in Unrivaled, and they bumped that number up to 36, to the fact that they have had to sign injury relief players like Nalissa Smith. There was another one like Kiki Jefferson also signed an injury release player. So they are just assigning players to these different teams. The fact that 36 players was not enough because injuries are plaguing these teams, that's really not great. It's not great for the league, and I think a big part of this is because the 3v3 full court style play. When I watched that first weekend of play, I thought, firstly, these women are going to be in great shape by the end of this. It's such a fast-paced game, but with that, if you actually think about it, that's a very different game from 5v5, and it does leave you susceptible to injuries. It's a lot more running, I think, than a lot of these players are used to. There's also a lot more one-on-one defense. There's also the physicality of this league. It has actually been a little bit crazy how much the refs are letting these players get away with. That is a recipe for players to get injured, and that's not great. Lastly, you guys, there was one other thing that stood out to me about Unrivaled, and it's the fact that some of the players are starting to call out Unrivaled on their social media, which, if you guys remember, in the beginning of the season, one of the perks of being one of these inaugural members to the Unrivaled League was the fact that you would get equity in the league. And so all of these players essentially are owners of Unrivaled. Ryan Howard was in the one-on-one tournament, tournament, and she lost to Courtney Williams. There was a lot of discourse going on online, again, because it was very physical. I'll show you guys a clip here on how Courtney Williams kind of just threw her to the ground. But after that, Ryan Howard was retweeting a bunch of those tweets, and I'll just read some of them here. It said, Unrivaled is #rigged. It said, when they all play each other and it's nothing but fouls, court fouling like the bad boy Pistons. Someone said these refs did wrong for officiating these games like this. It does seem a bit rigged. And then people were also getting on Ryan, being like, you shouldn't be retweeting these things. You are an owner in this league. And then she retweeted something that said, y'all mad at Ryan like she gives AF. And then somebody else who spoke out against Unrivaled, and this was a couple weeks ago, was Angel Reese. So Angel Reese was ejected from one of the games by getting 2 technical fouls in a row. And then after the game, somebody said ejection in Unrivaled, the refs are out of their mind. And Angel Reese retweeted, and she said, I can't wait to get back to Chicago, man. Now, this is a stark difference from the beginning of the season when Angel Reese basically said if she never had to leave Unrivaled, she wouldn't. She was somebody who said, I want to stay in Unrivaled, like it's giving me everything that I need here. I love everything about it. And then fast forward to a few weeks later, she says, I can't wait to get back to Chicago. So if you are an owner in a league like this, these are not great things to be projecting online, and it's also not great for the investors to see. And we will just have to see what happens for the rest of the season. You guys let me know in the comments below what you think. Are you still tapped into Unrivaled? Do you think that maybe I'm being too harsh and maybe it is a good league and it just kind of needs more time to develop? You guys let me know what you think in the comments below. Of course, thumbs up this video if you enjoyed it and click that little subscribe button because we upload new videos. I'm losing my voice. New videos every single week. Also, you guys, next week, for the next 2 weeks after All-Star, I will be overseas, and I have videos planned for you guys, but some of them might be pre-recorded. Next week might be a little bit of a lighter week. Hopefully you don't mind. I have so much travel coming up in my schedule, but I'm going to do my best to make sure that you guys have content, and I hope you enjoy it. But anyways, that's all I've got, and I will see you guys next time. Uina.